Hey, what's going on? If you are loading up Crimson Desert on PS5, this Day 1 update is the one that really sets the tone for the experience. Because Pearl Abyss says the PlayStation rollout is split into two parts, with the first download already available and the second wave of changes marked in the notes by an asterisk. They also make it clear that players need an internet connection to finish the initial setup and grab the latest version of the game. And once that is done, the game can be played offline. That means this patch is not just a little housekeeping update. It is the setup that makes the whole launch feel more complete and much smoother before you even settle in for the first real run. One of the first things this update does is make the opening stretch of the game easier to understand, because a tutorial quest has been added at the start of Chapter 3 to help players get familiar with Abyss gears. That is a nice touch, because launch phase systems can sometimes feel a little opaque when a game throws you into deeper mechanics too fast, so adding a guided step here should help a lot of people connect the dots earlier. On top of that, the team fixed progression problems in certain quests, which matters more than it sounds, because nothing kills momentum faster than getting stuck on a mission that should have moved forward but simply refuses to cooperate. The content side of the patch also gets a lot of attention. Housing mode and other systems have been made easier to use, and several content-specific problems were corrected, so things behave the way they were supposed to in the first place. There is also a noticeable balance change in enemy capture QTEs, where the difficulty now ramps up gradually based on how often you have been captured, which feels like a smarter way to teach the mechanic instead of just slamming the player with a wall of difficulty right away. Even the bear got adjusted here, since its instant kill damage was removed and its overall damage was tuned down, which sounds like a very welcome change if that encounter was turning into an unfair shock. The patch also fixes an issue where Greymane comrades could be displayed incorrectly, including cases where the count looked lower than it really was, or certain comrades simply failed to show up in the list. And for anyone who likes rewatching story moments, recently viewed cutscenes can now be fast-forwarded more quickly, which is exactly the kind of quality-of-life improvement that makes replaying or rechecking scenes feel less annoying. The skill system also gets a pretty meaningful pass. Pearl Abyss improved the watch and learn feature so skill learning feels more usable, and the skills menu itself now organizes skill names and descriptions by weapon type, while also updating descriptions and videos for certain abilities. That may sound like a menu tweak on the surface, but for a game with layered combat and multiple weapon styles, clearer organization can save a ton of time and confusion. The update also adds a finishing blow to Cliff's flurry of blows, gives Damian's greatsword stab and uppercut a follow-up skill, and adds a follow-up attack to Unka's dual-wield stab. Those kinds of changes matter because they can make combat feel more responsive and more rewarding, especially when you are chaining attacks and trying to keep momentum in a fight. Boss battles got attention too. And honestly, this is where a lot of players will really feel the difference. The Tenebrum fight in Chapter 4 now no longer forces you to replay the puzzle section if you die during the battle, which is a huge relief for anyone who hates repeating the tedious part just to get back to the real fight. Certain bosses, including Reed Devil, had their balance adjusted. Bosses can no longer hit the player while the player is in the middle of reviving, and abnormal movement or fight progression issues were fixed for some encounters. Walker-type monsters also received improvements to their combat behavior and animation, which should make those battles look and feel less awkward and more intentional overall. There's also a lot happening behind the scenes that players usually notice only when it goes wrong, which is why the next batch of fixes matters so much. NPCs and animals received improvements across animations, movement, lip sync, visual clipping, effects, and voice acting, and some dialogue, reactions, and voice delivery were tuned so conversations feel more natural and better match the situation. They also fixed cases where spoken dialogue and subtitles did not line up when greeting NPCs, plus a bunch of abnormal interaction issues involving NPCs and animals. Localization was cleaned up across all languages, and the UI had issues fixed involving text display, functionality, sound effects, and similar rough edges. Performance and stability got a broad pass across PC and console as well, including crash-related issues, which is exactly the kind of thing you want from a launch update because it helps the game feel steadier the moment the player starts pressing through menus, loading scenes, and moving into bigger battles.